Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hello, Byron. Hello. Joseph. Maria, Valerie. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Oh, welcome back, Amber. Last time you were a Friday with Han, and now I get to see you. Nice to see you.
You too. We haven't been together in a long time.
Yes, well, you've been busy, but I'm not telling.
Well, no, we can say now what I've been working on. It
Okay,
is
well,
a book.
a book. Okay. So if any of you guessed book, you're right.
Yeah.
Hello, June.
Hi.
Sally, hello.
Oh yes,
Liz.
finally sunny and warm, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, oddly, oddly. Hello, Gwen. Oddly, too warm even.
A little too warm, yeah.
Well,
But
it's
it was
actually,
cold for so long.
yeah, but supposedly for a lot of the gardening stuff, for the plants, like it should start cold for them. So I just planted my peas when I would normally, so I don't know if that's going to impact them. Like Brussels
Mhm.
sprouts also have to start in the cold. Anyway, we'll see if it
We'll
messes up.
see.
So I'm just going to show quickly the schedule for those of you that want to know. So for May, this is the schedule. So the name that you see is who's working that day. So we changed the format. If you haven't watched in a while, it's all one person working, and the other person's kind of reading your comments and stuff like that. Hi, Lynn. Hello, hello. So this month I am going with a theme. Last month my theme was what was my theme? This month it's stencils. Oh, last month was airbrush. Airbrush.
Oh yeah, airbrush. Okay.
Amber, did you want to show anything? Did you want to show?
Yeah, just before you get started, I'll just talk about what I've got going on this month. So as many of you know, I have my Bakers Club where you can sign up to get a different cookie decorating kit shipped to you every month. And then we're actually running a promotion right now. So if you sign up for an annual subscription on my Patreon, you will get a free trial of the Bakers Club. So basically, you're going to get a free cookie decorating kit when you go on to my Patreon with an annual subscription. So that's my exciting promotion going on now.
I'm looking for the link.
It's somewhere in
This
there.
one
Maybe.
here, this one here. Here, you can type it if you want to type it while
Oh,
I'm.
sure. Okay.
So last live on the topic, I asked you guys to put your questions, and Angie wrote that she'd like to see layered stencils. And then Laura said she'd like to see the stencil machine kind of in action. So that's what I'm going to kind of focus on today. And did you want to pop it up? Did you have
I just put it in the comments.
Oh, you put in the comments? Perfect. So there's Amber's Patreon. So in case any of you are wondering what Patreon is, I have one as well. It's a paid monthly group where we have like our exclusive like content, and every month like the library grows because we're always adding to it. So there's a lot. It's not just 1 month worth of content. It's like, how long have you been on now? For a while?
I've been on Patreon for about 2 years.
Yeah, so it's like, that means
Yeah.
24 different projects I've been on
Mhm.
since I think 2015. So there's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you are. I see you, Angie. I'm going to answer your question. Hello, Shanna. Hello, hello. Okay. So I've got some stuff preloaded for you guys to just show you. So first thing, a layered stencil. Here is an example of a layered stencil. Let me just hide that comment. Hold on, let me hide that. Okay, so this is a layered stencil. This is Killer Zebra's product. Killer Zebra has a lot of layered stencils if you want to check out her web page. And if you look carefully, you can see that the design has multiple colors. In this particular case, there's 3 colors there. And so that is achieved, where's the other image, by having 3 separate stencils. So each stencil you use for each color. So instead of like having one stencil where you shoot the color or you want to be very like target a certain area, often you'll get overspray and it's not as perfect as if you're using this while you're layering. And that's why it's $16, because you're essentially buying 3 stencils. So here I used it to make some cookies just
Oh,
to show
how
you guys.
cute.
Now this is age appropriate for you. You have your 2 little
Oh,
girls.
my daughters would love that. Yeah.
So you can see that there's sections of airbrushing and then not. So you can really get creative with those stencils. Any questions yet? No? Okay. So I'm just going to quickly like show you. You need a white. Ideally is you can airbrush on not white, but if you want the colors to be really what they are, you're best to work on white. Airbrush is kind of translucent. And so
Mhm.
if you're airbrushing in yellow, let's say on pink, well, it'll look orange. So this is the first stencil. I'm airbrushing in a light blue. And then you can see through the plastic and you can align for the next color. And this time it's electric purple. And then the final color is some pink. Now you can, if you want, target the one stencils, but you can't work as fast and it's just a little bit, just more clean if you want the colors to be true. And then where's my picture again to show? So you can see in the middle there, that is a Franken cookie, and that I used the rainbow from Killer Zebra stencil as inspiration, and then I cut my own. And here you can see it's just like that design was very simplistic, so I used kind of her basic design, and then I just added another element from the stencils as a cloud. And so you can see by designing, you can kind of really customize, and that's the whole thing that's great about cookies. You can really customize whatever it is that you want to make, and you can tie in a purchased stencil and add your version to it. You can get really creative, and that's why you'd make a stencil, is for the customization aspect of it. If you're wanting to go all in with the creative process.
Angie's asking, do you let the color dry before adding the next layer of color?
So ideally, if you're not working on one cookie like I am in the video, right? And so you're working on your whole batch. So they have plenty of time to dry, because even if you have multiple guns running, like sometimes I like to have, well, the time to change the stencil out of your holder and all that. So you do all the blue, then you do all the,
Mhm.
so it'd have plenty of time to dry. And also you don't want to spray heavy. And so if you're doing light mists, it dries very quickly. It's not like a super wet, because if you go too heavy and you make it very wet, well, you're going to get underspray beads
Mhm.
of the product. So you want to airbrush lightly so that it doesn't like get very, very wet. And also it's like your icing also, if it's oversaturated. So the airbrush color you build, you don't go like super, it's not like a can of spray paint.
Right.
Right? That's the difference. So here I just wanted to show this project. This is available in the coffee shop, and this is, again, you can see the stencil. I'm using it as a guideline, a template on the cookie to know where to pipe. And then later in the process, I use it as decorating elements. In the middle there, the stegosaurus, you can see the lines on its spikes. You can use it to really focus in on certain elements. If you're not very good at drawing, the stencil really helps you to get your design more perfectly. And then for secondary stenciling, you can add dots or kind of like decoration elements to your characters, know where to put the second layer of icing. Like for the legs there, you can see on the Triceratops, I'm
Mhm.
adding the legs. On the T-Rex too, I know exactly where to pipe them. So stencils are for decorating and as guidelines, and they're just a tool to help you make just more perfect cookies.
I love
So
the graphics.
get it. Yeah, that's another part of our thing. We have to know how to do so many different
I know.
things.
So
So
are
yeah,
those dinosaur cookies on are they on your Patreon, the tutorials for those, or are those
I had made those for to sell, like we're always trying to monetize our how do we generate revenue. So I had
Mhm.
made them to sell, and I have them on coffee. So those are
Okay,
available.
cool.
There's a full like video. It's not how to make stencils, that particular video, but I just wanted to show you what you can do when you're when you're making your own stencils. All right,
Where's the
so
coffee shop link? Is it up here somewhere?
it's in the top link, I think. Do we have? It's. I think this here has. Yeah, that it's here. It's on
Mhm.
there. This is the big spiel that was pinned there, but it's somewhere in the comments. In our this one here.
There you
Here, I
go.
left it running on the ticker. But if you want to edit that one, Amber, your stuff's not on that particular one, the ticker.
Oh, that's right. I don't have anything new in coffee.
Okay.
Um,
So
it,
last time, sorry, go.
oh, sorry. There's a question. Is Patreon the same as the Cookie School on Facebook?
The Cookie School on Facebook, the thing there is that I can't add a variety of files in. When I say variety, I mean a PNG or a silhouette or a, like different formats. It's only like JPEGs. So if you go on Patreon, first of all, it's existed longer, so there's more stuff, and I can actually like put a silhouette file. I can actually
Mhm.
put a PNG file. And so I prefer it for you guys there, but Facebook is good too. It's just that's the difference, is that I have the ability to load a variety of formats there. And so if you're working with a Silhouette machine or your Cricut, it can be handy to have the actual formats. How do you choose between stencil, a pattern, or ice on a cookie? I think to decide that, I think it's kind of the vision you have for your project, right? Like if you're stenciling, there's speed. It's a little bit faster, whether it be even in icing or airbrushed. You're kind of like going quickly. You can piping. It gives it a different look. It's sometimes a little bit prettier, but it's the juggle. You're trying to decide if you want to be very productive. Maybe you have a lot of other orders that week. The stenciling does help you be a little bit faster, so you can kind of make those decisions project to project. There's no standard, I don't think, with regards to like, every time you want to do this, like the stencil for the guidelines. Well, it just makes your brain kind of shut off. You're not like having to concentrate. Okay, now the dinosaur, where does the leg go? Where does this go? You can kind of like color in the lines with your piping bag. So it's that. And then all your cookies will look the same. It allows you to, if you have a projector, some people do like the projector. I personally like the stencil because you can rotate the cookie, and often rotating the cookie makes the decorating process a little bit easier. Even like if you're leaving all the cookies on the tray, being able to move. Whereas if you're working with a projector, the cookie cannot move. It has to stay exactly in position of
Mhm.
the projection, right? Anything else?
Yes, what's the Patreon for you?
It's just the at the end, like Montreal Confections. It's this like all our handles are pretty much the same. Like SweetAmbs uses the same handle on everything. I use Montreal Confections on everything, and Han uses Hanyellis on everything.
I'm gonna put it in the comments.
Oh, Joseph, you'd have to answer that question. I think it's been probably a year and a half at something like that.
Yeah,
If I
it
had
sounds
to give
about
it a
right.
guess. If I had to give it a guess. All right, so let's see some of the videos that I prepared. Okay, so you guys sometimes like low tech, so here's some low tech for you. So this is a cookie cutter that I just traced on some cardstock, and if you want to make your own stencil, well, you can hand draw your design, and then kind of what it's going to look like, and you can take your X-Acto and cut out the eyes and maybe the holly, and you'll have yourself a little bit of a guideline. Now, if you wanted, you can take that, cut it out, put it on your mat, and then you can drag that into the silhouette program to cut it, like, you know, if you want it really precise, cut with the machine. So that's just kind of the low-tech version of stencil making. If you color it with the black marker, I didn't erase the pencil. Ideally, you would erase the pencil so that the silhouette program that recognizes the lines isn't confused by that grayness there that's there, because that'll mess up the recognition of that.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I wanted to show, so on the left is the physical mat. That's the mat you hold in your hands, and let's say you're sticking up your paper, your plastic to cut your stencil. And then on the right, that's the mat that you see in the program. And that's how it kind of like, for you to understand what you're going to physically get in your hands at the end. So when you're working on your computer, the mat will be smaller. It might look like half an inch or centimeters, like small, but it'll come out 12 inches by 12 inches. So that's kind of how you can kind of like, for your brain to be able to understand, okay, I'm making this on my computer. What size is it going to be in my physical like hands? And so you're imagining on the computer screen, each of those squares are an inch. So that's kind of like, for those of you that don't own one, for you to kind of grasp how it is that you're designing in the computer, and then it's going to come into the physical world, right? But you started, and you, like, your first experience doing it, it's not so.
No, it was pretty easy to pick up. I didn't have any issues with the sizing.
Yeah, and I mean, at the beginning when Amber first got hers, I designed her swirl, that like her SweetAmbs swirl, let's call it. And that's available in the coffee shop if you want to purchase that, so that you can replicate her design, because she does it in her sleep. But if you like that design and you find it a little bit tricky to handle, like to replicate, you can get a stencil and cut your own. And that's, you know, it just comes in handy when you're trying to replicate something really, really precise. So if you want to see here, I filmed it very quickly for you guys to see. I had explained previously, it's essentially like the printer head on your inkjet printer. The print head goes around and prints the image. Well, the print head is a knife, and it goes around on the mat and cuts the information that you sent to it. So that's basically how it kind of works. Any other questions?
Another question about your Facebook group and your Patreon. Do you have to cancel Facebook to switch?
Yes, you do. Maybe, Shanna, if you're in Facebook, you want to wait till maybe June 1st so that you don't pay twice. And then you can kind of switch over. There's just more information there. That's it.
Yeah, I find that the Patreon is a lot easier to use and to upload and
But the thing is we're often live streaming on Facebook, so it's like, it's tricky. You know, we're always asking people to go somewhere else. It gets hard for the marketing side for us, right? That's the part.
But we have so many people who are so supportive, and
yes, thank you very much.
We appreciate it so much.
I'm just trying to keep it simple for you guys, but yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to just go into the actual here, and where can I get? Why can I? No. I thought I could get into the silhouette. Oh, here it is. No. Oh, here it is. There it is. Okay. So this is the silhouette program, okay? Now, you can load your own art, or you can buy art off of their site. Cricut has the same thing. And there's literally like thousands of different things that you can buy there. Like whether you're looking for wedding stuff, or you're looking, I mean, you name it. Some of this art here is stuff that I created, but you can buy a gazillion and one things there. And now you can imagine most of this stuff is designed for, initially it was like card making or vinyl decals or t-shirt decals, but you have to put on your cookie brain now and look at that art and say, okay, how is this going to translate into the cookie world? So it does require maybe a little bit of your like thinking, so here's a stencil. I'm not sure the artist of this particular design, but here it is. And it's all one. You can see here, I'm picking it up. It's all one thing. So if you release here, they're all made by different artists. So there's no standard. Sometimes they're grouped, whereas all these little elements are grouped together. This particular artist did a compound path. So now I'm releasing the compound path, okay? And normally you cut a stencil that's 6 inches by 6 inches. This one here, I've blown it up 12 inches so that I can actually see what I'm doing, so I can zoom in. Now, if I zoom in for you guys to see the design, you can see it's little flowers and leaves. Now, you can cut it so that it's a 1-layer stencil, but you can make your own layered stencil. So what you would do is you'd have to go in and pick out all the flowers, or you can have the little flowers be another layer too. So let's say if we were to pick out all the big flowers, I find that after you've like selected them, if you want to make sure of what you've selected, you can kind of color them, and then you can see what you've selected. And so now I'm basically creating a group of these flowers so that I can cut a layer, you see? And so I'm just going to like do an abbreviated version of this. It's very repetitive, but now you see I'm taking the leaves. And in this particular case, I'm going to group all these little branches to create, now let's make them green, you see? And I'm grouping, and now I'll be able to cut the leaves and have a layer for the green, a layer for, let's say, the pink for the flowers. And that's how you would take their art to make your own kind of stencil, like these layered stencils. And then you can separate them, you see here, and then you would group all again so that you resize it at the same size, right? So you don't want to separate them until they've been sized to the 6 by 6.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you want, after that you've made the layers, so the pink layer, the green layer, you want to place them on the screen to make sure everything looks right, but you want to separate them before you send it to cut. Because here, let me look in my library again, user designs. I've done it already here in this particular one. This is the Christmas one, you see, and I've pulled it all apart. But when I put them back together, if I layer them back together, you'll be able to see how it's going to look once once it comes back together, when you zoom back in, it comes back together. I can see now it's not completely aligned. See, if I put my red line so that they all align, you're going to see what the finished one is going to look like. You see, so you get the so this would be 4 colors, and you're getting the multi-layered stencils like yourself. So it's just like any customization thing. It does take a little bit of time to group all this stuff, but it's not that long. And I do find that if you add the color, it helps to see what needs to be what, you know? So did that cause any questions, or no? Everybody's just like,
Well, when I do something like this, I have to like do it myself to figure, like I would take these instructions and then do it, and then that's when the questions would come up, because that's how I learn how to do things.
Well, next live that so let me look back again at the schedule. So next live is still going to be stencils, and I do have a supply list in the coffee shop for today's live. Last live, it was supplies, and this live stream supply list has some tutorials linked to it and different things like that. So if you want to go get that, that's free. So on the 17th, I'll be looking at silk screen stencils, which is a little bit different than this type of stencil. And then on the 31st, maybe I'll do royal icing stenciling, something like that.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so next,
try it out first, and then come back next time with the questions.
so yeah, maybe write your questions down for next time. But every design that you see in the silhouette design thing, like for example, like this, okay? Oh, I should have opened another one here. Let me go get it. So this here, hypothetically, if you were to use this, well, you could, if you use your cookie brain for this particular design here, let me just rotate it. Is this to rotate or is this undo?
Undo. I know that much.
Rotate, rotate. Here, 180. No, here. Oh, there's my green thing. All right, here it is. So this one here, if you wanted, you could delete. Let me just ungroup. See, this one is grouped by the artist. So, oh, and there's still release compound path. Each artist works in their own way. See, I could take away all this stuff here and just use, like, you know, the wing sections and use that on my cookie and like size it. It looks like almost like a Wilton butterfly shape, you see?
Mm-hmm.
So if you trace your cookie cutter and you bring it into here, well, you'll be able to fit all these little cute shapes and potentially create your own stencil that'll fit on the butterfly cookie on, let's say, some white icing. You could come in and airbrush like these sections on a cookie. So you just look through the art, and every day they give a free, like there's free art. So you can check every day and download that day or that week's free art, and you can play with it, or you can draw your own. Last month, not this month, last month I did two in Patreon. There was 2 tutorials, how to draw in Patreon to create your own stencils, and then using that art to create an actual stencil. That's it for the.
Do you know the answer to this? Is the Silhouette software the same for all versions of the machine?
Well, I think that they do updates, like improvements, as they come out with new machines. So they're in the business of selling, like most companies, and so they're constantly coming out with new updated machines. The most recent Silhouette machine has the blades. It's like back in the day, if you remember printers, there was no like computer information on the print head, right? Like the little print head, we'd put it in and you could get like the kind of like compatible stuff easily. You could buy it and you didn't have to get like the authentic, let's say, Canon, right? But they were losing money because people weren't buying their expensive print heads. So that's basically what's happened with Silhouette, is you could get like random blades and they didn't like that. So now there's a computer chip on the blade. So the technology, I think, maybe changed with regards to that. You know, like I have a 3, I have a Silhouette Cameo 3. You have the Portrait, which I think also has the chip on the knife. So they're constantly trying to force us to buy, right? It's kind of like licensing for Word, for example. Back in the day, right, we could buy a Word program, download it to our computer, and be done paying. Now you have to get the monthly thing, and so that's the kind of difference there. So I can't really answer the question. I don't have the more recent version of the program, but I would be very surprised that it's always the same. I would think that they're constantly fixing it. I don't think it is. The grouping is I think Compound Path, it like makes it more like into one thing or something like that with regards to there's people that are more versed in the world of Silhouette. You could probably get that answer easily if you put it in Google. But the Compound Path and the grouping, I think it's like the Compound Path is more like for the computer to recognize it as one thing, I think. Update your computer. Yes, well, that is Ariel. It works. That's like next live. I'm not going to be doing it that way. Silk screen is that whole like way of making silk screen is kind of like a finagling way. Silk screen is it's a different process. Has to do with emulsion and basically it's like a product that gets solidified with a UV light, and it's quite a thing. So it's
Wow.
much more complex.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I have as far as stencil making. If you guys have questions, you can pop them in. It's difficult to teach everything that there is a stencil like making in the time we have. It's such a huge kind of
I know
topic.
there's just so much to learn about it, and you just learn it as you go along, I think.
Exactly. Project by project. Some things, like just to put it out there for ideas of what you could do with it. If you're making cookies for your business, you could potentially make corporate cookies. That is a huge kind of like if you were to do a corporate kind of line, you could make the logos for your clients, have something be very like true to their some people want the exact logo, so you could do that. The difference between the Silhouette and the Cricut, if you download today's supply list, I found a blog post and the person goes through really all the differences. The main difference that I've seen people talk about, it's the program. So if you're more kind of savvy with regards to, let's say, Photoshop and Illustrator and you're kind of a computer, the Silhouette program works very well. The Cricut, I think, is more for people who aren't that program savvy with regards to that side of the computer world. So that's the difference I think that I've seen with regards to like them being able to cut. They're pretty much, I think, the same once you send the job out. Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's hands-on learning, just like cookies. You can watch 1,000 decorating videos until you make the first batch of royal icing and feel it, right? It's a completely
Yeah.
different experience. Like consistency. There's
I
no
was, I was just gonna say I was using my Silhouette recently, and it just was not cutting. It wasn't cutting. I bought a new blade in this, like, because I was like, why isn't it cutting? Is it dull already? And then I realized that I just had the mat in like a half inch off. So like it's just little things like that that you're never gonna know until you actually do it. So like, yeah, same thing like you were saying with decorating cookies, just like you really just have to get in there and start doing it to realize what you don't know about it.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll cut the wrong size. Like Sally's saying, she had told me she was often wasting material because she was, not like the sizing maybe was off. Cut the outline. Well, I'm not sure I understand, but I'm guess like that.
Yes,
Yes, everybody has their struggle.
because it has to be such a small. You have to
Yes,
cut around the outline to get the outline to come out of the
yes,
material.
yes, 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 yes. You're cutting a hole for the color to come out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
My son has not touched his 3D printer in a while. It is the 3D printer is a very small portion of the process. You have to, again, it's a computer program that you have to understand and learn to create this virtual cutter before you can have a physical cutter. And so the program is tricky, and sometimes if you haven't designed your cutter right in the virtual world, when it goes out into the physical world, into the printer, the filament is not wound tight enough, or that you'll end up with gaps and the dough gets in there, and it's not as straightforward as you might think. It's not as
Wow.
straightforward as you might think. Okay, Maria, that's good. You have a bad, you're going to start with your X-Acto. Well, that's it. I mean, baby steps, and you can, once you feel comfortable, you can move on to the next kind of thing. Usually a blank like this means a stars maybe, so thank you.
Thank you.
Your cricket died. Oh, yes, yes, I remember, Sally. You told me that. That's,
Well, I mean, you might want to still keep trying with it because sometimes you have to go through, like, you know, Mar, you told me you have to sometimes cut 2 or 3 times
well,
to
I
get
don't
it
know.
to
That's
go
it. Like,
through.
what thickness is your plastic? Because if your plastic is really thick, you might just need some thinner plastic. It's not necessarily your machine that's the problem. Everywhere that I had seen in the past, they recommended like 6 mil or mil 7, and it's so thick you have to pass over like 10 times. But if you get 4, like it cuts. Like, do you have to pass a lot of times, Amber?
I do too.
Yeah, 2
And that's
times. That's
and I'm
reasonable.
using that 4 mil. I think
Yeah,
yeah.
it's very reasonable. The 4 is more than enough. If you're not selling your stencils, it's more than enough. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
I've seen that. I've seen that machine actually. Yeah, it does the job. The website, which do you mean, Joseph? The Patreon? Yeah, that's it, Sally. That's it. If you're having troubles cutting through your plastic, it might simply be that adjustment, getting a thinner plastic. I use my thicker plastic that I had to do my royal icing transfers on, since I have it.
Oh, so Maria is using the 4 mil, so there's another issue going on.
6, 8 passes. My gosh, yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. So maybe, yeah. I
There
mean,
is,
but you know, before you get a new machine, maybe just
yeah.
try some other things.
And there's also a setting with regards to the force of the blade, like how hard it's pressing down. So there's a few settings that you maybe want to play with. Deep cut blade. Huh. Yeah, that could help too. The cookie one. I guess it's. Do we have the?
Yeah, we've got lots of websites.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they're in. We put the Patreons in the comments,
There's
and then the
Amber's.
coffee shop
There's
is. Oh yeah,
Amber.
yep. There's mine.
That's everything. Oh,
Mhm.
and here. So if you want to take a screenshot, I'll give you 5 seconds to do that. And then here is mine and Han's Patreon. So there's pretty much everything. And then Amber has a blog. If you want, there's lots of great information there for free.
Diane, I was also intimidated when I first got it, but yeah, it's fine. Once you get going, it's fine. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, can you do really like small, cookie size stuff?
Might have
Because
to start ordering stencils from Emmett.
yeah, because I know like that. I've seen those videos, but like it's usually like in woodworking and stuff. So it's usually like a little bit bigger, right? Like signs. I've seen it done for signs.
Oh yeah, they made me a sign when I first started. A huge wooden sign, SweetAmbs.
Oh well, it's like that's it. You need a smaller one for behind you now.
I know. Maybe I should hang it. Just hang it behind.
You know what I saw actually? I was at Michael's yesterday, the day before. They actually are selling wood that you can paint, like a circle, but it has a neon like around it. So you paint, but then it's got a neon, so you could like, let's say you could make your own like kind of
cool.
It's not fully neon, it's the perimeter, but you can add your logo to and you can use your silhouette machine to do a vinyl decal and make your business
That's
sign.
a great idea.
It's like a kind because that's it. The silhouette, we're talking cookies, but you could make logo aprons if you do pop-up shops and you want, or logo t-shirts. You could do a vinyl t-shirts for your business. You could make vinyl transfers for your wall if you have like a physical store where people are going in. There's so many different things you could do for to make like embellish your work like place or making employee things like the t-shirts for your staff. If you have like any kind of event, you want people to be able to find you, so you have to make, right, the signs and the little kind of little labels and stuff. So that's it for me. Oh, it's a 2mm bit. I don't know. I guess you'd have to experiment, Amber, to see if they can make you some.
Well, I guess they're going into the cookie business now.
Well, if they're prepared to go online and package and ship, you know you've got takers.
Yeah.
That's all you just need to have, like, because that's the often, right, like that's the whole side. Putting it in a bubble wrap, putting in a box, labeling it. You know, when you do your cookies every, 3 months? Do you do it every 3 months or 4 months?
Every 3 months, yeah. Yeah.
Any spots open?
No. There
No.
was one, but it went fast.
It went fast.
Yeah. So we were just talking about every month or every quarter, my VIP subscribers on Patreon get cookies shipped to them, but those spots go really fast.
And so every 3 months, Amber's very busy.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Speaking of, here, let's show you. This went viral last week.
Yes, this is on YouTube, it's on Facebook, and the full extended, like 20-minute version, 25 minutes, is on Patreon.
Because she doesn't work this fast.
Right. Edible sequins with royal icing.
Very nice. What did it do? 6 million views? Was it?
It's at 5.6 million on Facebook now, which in the old days was normal. You know.
Yeah, no, that's
These
very
days
good.
it's hard.
Well, the thing is seriously, the competition is like up. Like, never mind other cookie people. Like, everything now is on the computer, right? Like before. Like now, everybody's watching. Their TV is right on their phone. I mean, do you have cable?
No.
Yeah, who has cable now?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Thanks, Cynthia.
So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. On Tuesday, we're working on silkscreen stencils. So if you're curious about that, if you go on my coffee and you get the supply list, the link to the products that I'll be using is in that supply list. And yeah, this silkscreen stencils are completely different because you don't have bridges. So it makes fine detail possible, because if you need the bridges, it's kind of impossible to do certain things.
Oh, thanks, Diane.
That's good. So that's it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. And we'll see you on Tuesday with Han. Bye, everybody.
Bye.